Hello and welcome to Empyrion Planetology, an extremely special episode. So, what have I got in store for you today? Well, the topic is those AI-controlled vessels, also known as OPVs, which stands for Orbital Patrol Vessels, that have at one point in time tried to kill you, and quite possibly destroyed your ships. And you've, in their defense, tried to destroy their ships. Or sometimes you've ignored them. But essentially, the ships that come with the game that you can find and destroy or ignore um, at your pleasure. Um, so 1.4 came with a particularly interesting change, and it has opened up, for me, the very real possibility of more players being able to submit their ships to Eleon to be added into the vanilla game. Which I think is extremely cool. Um, so I want to go over how this has come about. I would like to show you how you can submit your own builds, your own CVs to Eleon, and the criteria that you must adhere to in order for you to have a chance of them to be accepted. I've got a whole bunch of stuff spawned here. I've got the Javelin over there, which I need to respawn. Believe it or not, I've had to do this 3 times, because I've messed up 3 times. And in all 3 cases, the mic wasn't working. So the mic is now working, so I can continue. But first and foremost, I want to show you how you yourself can submit something to Eleon. How is this done? Well, if you look in the description below, there's a few links. Which one of them will take you to their forums here. If you don't have one, you'll need to create yourself an account, which is easily done. If you scroll down, bingo. Here we go, the Builders League. This is the relevant section. There's 4 forums for you to choose from. Now, there's questions, discussions, and feedback. If you've got questions for Hummel or for other players to answer, that is the place to go. If you want to ask me a question, hey, by all means, put something in the comments, and I'll do my best to see if I can help you. But it would be worth asking the questions here so that others who frequent this and don't look at my YouTube vid can benefit from the answers, so we can all learn together, basically. So to actually submit something, you go to the showroom and submissions. And here we go. Here is the forum. You see I've got one submitted here, so if I click on that, I submitted this a few days ago. So when I submit stuff to Eleon, because so far all the Warlord CVs you see in the game, I've been the one to convert it. And this is the format I use when I submit something to Eleon for their consideration. I turn around and say who built it, because I haven't built two-thirds of the ships in the Warlord faction, and I don't want people to think that I built them. So that's why in the patch notes you see built by J. Randall or Heck and Diver, but modified by Ascali, because I turn around and let them know, look, I didn't build this, Kithid built it, or Heck and Diver built it. It just means the person who built the ship gets kind of the recognition, like, you know, someone else might have done a conversion, but this is the person who built it originally, so good stuff to you, like, you know. I give them a bit of information, like the size class, that's very important, we'll come to that in a minute. What kind of shield it's got, the turrets, and some basic information in terms of what loot containers it's got. I'll give them a screenshot so it gives them an idea as to what it is, and anybody else who just wants to see, quite frankly. But there isn't that much information on this one because, quite frankly, it's a very small ship. If you've got quite a big ship, you might want to put in a few more details and so forth. But this is essentially the format personally I use. Now you also see it's called Ready for Review. That title is the indicator for Hummel and any others within Eleon to say, aha, okay, this one is ready for me to take a look at to see whether they want to add it into the game. Without that, it's not easy for Eleon to see whether it's ready for them to review or not. So how do you get that title? Well, it's quite simple. And I've got such a dry throat because I've been speaking for the past 2 hours trying to record this video, so apologies if I cough. Dear me, I'm such a dunce, honestly. So yes, I've clicked on New Post, and there we are. I click on this bit here, it defaults to news, and I want ready for review. Sorry, such a dry throat. And I'll just put in the name of the faction, which for me, I'm interested in the Warlord these days. You can see some of the titles I've already done. Eternal Torment. There we go. And then I just put in the various details. I'll take a couple of screenshots, put that in, and then I just add in the blueprint. Click on Create Thread, and bingo, you have submitted something to Eleon for them to review. Now, it's important to note that they won't look at this and review them immediately within the next 5 seconds or hour or even day. It might take them a few weeks, but be patient. They will get to them eventually. You just need to be patient. You need to keep the faith. And as someone who submitted something to Eleon in the past, they do get to them. It just might take them a while. And personally, I'm okay with that. If they want to take a while and get to them when they've got the time to look at them properly, I'd much rather they do that than make a quick judgment and then just add it in. So just be considerate in terms of patience, it just helps them out a bit. So let's get to the details. There is a thread in the questions, discussions and feedback which has this written down, which I'll show you afterwards. But the major change as I see it, which is why I'm making this video, is in 1.4 a new faction came out, and that was the Warlord faction. Now, the Warlord faction is a hostile faction, which, there we go, whilst I'm talking, is a hostile faction that will attack you on sight. You cannot make friends with them, make peace with them. Basically, if they see you, they'll try and take you out. So you either run, or you take them on and destroy them, or be destroyed. Fun times. But the problem historically has been there's been some fantastic ships made by players. We've all seen them. It's some gorgeous ships that would make very good and sometimes quite challenging AI ships to battle and take out and just enjoy the game with. But they haven't fit into the style of the traditional factions like Legacy, Xirax, Polaris, Krill, Tesh, which is one of the new ones from 1.3. And if they don't conform to any of those, they've had to either have been reshaped by someone else, or they're just not put in. The Warlord faction is where this comes in, because the Warlord faction can have any style of shaping, any texture and any colours. So there is not one style you have to adhere to. So if you have a ship that you believe is is well built and you think could make to be an interesting OPV, this is your chance of having it placed into the game, which is awesome. So let's show you some of those right now, and then we'll move on to the size class. We've got 3 different ones. We've got the Scar Raider, we've got the Cybeam Destroy by some idiot builder who shall be named nameless at the moment, and then the awesome Arc Bronco by Hack-and-Diver. And I think you'll agree, I'm making fun of the Cybeam Destroy because I made it, so I think you'll agree none of those 3 look anything remotely like the Overseer down there. Not in shaping, not in colours, not in texturing. You just couldn't pass any of those 3 off as krill. And the same thing, you couldn't pass any of them off as legacy either. So this is where the Warlord faction comes in. 3 completely different styles, hostile ships that you can come across, and that's it basically. The same thing goes with POIs as well, but this video is focusing on the AI controlled ships, not the POIs. So let's get into the size class. There is a limit on the size class of a ship that they add into the game, and it is very important for a number of reasons. Now, any games company, not just Eleon, but there needs to be considerate on what kind of specification a computer needs to be in order to run the game, which means they have to be considerate of performance issues. So the bigger, again, we all would have seen it, the bigger the size class of a ship, the much more of a performance hit you are going to have. So if the playfield, and by playfield I mean each planet you see here is essentially a playfield. There's a folder with a set of playfield files, and that dictates, and it's the same thing space here, this is a playfield. So within the files you code in kind of whether you want an asteroid field like this, or whether you want an asteroid ring to go around, you know, those awesome rings I've put in recently, what kind of asteroid resources, whether it's iron, silicon, cobalt, pentaxids, Evestrum, blah blah blah, what orbital patrol vessels, what POI you spawn in. That is what is considered to be a playfield. So if you had, say, 5 overseers spawned in, that's going to have a significant hit on performance. If you had, I think the biggest ship out there is the Polaris Super Freighter, which is size class 24. If you had 5 of those spawn in, there's going to be some people where their computer just simply cannot cope with it, and that is why there's size class limits. We all like some of these big builds, don't get me wrong. I love the Mr. J's MCRN Leviathan. Brilliant build, it's fantastic, but it's size class 55, so there's no chance in hell without serious modifications that is ever going to be added into the game. Not because Eleon wouldn't want it in there, it's because they have to consider the performance issue. So what are these limits? Well, if you have a look at these 3 here, the Scar Raider is, drumroll please, it's size class 4, and it's again made by Mr. J. This Cybeam Destroyer, which is built by that idiot, is size class 3, and the Arc Bronco, who built by Hack-and-Diver, is size class 4. Which actually for Hack-and-Diver is pretty good, because he does like his size class. So ideally below size class 10 is ideal. You know, that's, if it's below size class 10, that's good stuff. You're in a good spot straight away. They don't really want you to go above size class 12 to 14. Oh dear, dry throat again. So anything above 12 to 14 is considered special. And it's those special ships, such as the Overseer, such as the Ark Leviathan, which is a size class 19. The Dreadnought, for example, is size class 18. The Polaris Super Freight is size class 24. Hummel has said in a thread on the forums, again, there's a link to that thread in the description below, and this has details on everything that I'm talking about right now. He said that they might put these special ships into a special group so that they will only have one of those special ships in a playfield at any one time. And again, that's for performance issues, and I think that's quite reasonable, to be honest. Especially since you could probably go in and change config, possibly, if you wanted them more. So that's essentially the information on the size class. So what happens if you have a size class 27 which is above the size class 24, 25 absolutely top limit? Because size class 20 to 25 is the top limit. Anything above that, it is extremely unlikely it's going to be accepted by Eleon. Enter the Ark Leviathan, which, if you have a look at the workshop version, bear with me, Ark, the Leviathan, it's size class 27, so straight off the bat, too big. Too big. It's as simple as that. So it's got to be decreased. Well, if I have a look at the P menu and statistics, good drink, come on. It's size class 19, so I've reduced the size class, so it's in an acceptable spot. Now, how have I done that? I might do a separate video to show how I've done that, but essentially, truss blocks, not good. Lighting, not good. A lot of piping blocks, not good. Heavy windows, not good. All of those really boost up the size class. So a lot of those have been taken out. I think I removed all the piping from the Ark Revenant, which is size class 44, and I got it dropped 10 size classes. It's actually still too big, but so just because you've got something size class 27 doesn't mean to say you can't produce it so it's low enough to put in. So the Krill Overseer, that right there is the one on the workshop that you can download and play around and have a lot of fun with. Beautiful build. That is a size class 19. So that is within kind of tolerance levels as a special ship. But they still want you to try and reduce it as much as possible, which I did. And I managed to get it down to a size class 15. I think it's like 14.83. So with a bit more work, I think my PC is draining at the moment. Yeah, with a bit more work, I could probably get it down to a size class 14. But I think I did pretty well, to be honest. Yeah, I can see my PC is struggling. I've been trying to do it so many times. So that's essentially the size class stuff done. The next thing we need to think about is the thrusters. Now, I can see this might upset some people, but you have to look at it from a gameplay perspective. Players, if you want to have internal thrusters, that's absolutely fine. That's not a problem. Because it's your game, you can play it how you wish. If you want to have internal thrusters, you can do so. but for builds that get shipped with the game, you can't have internal thrusters. So these thrusters on the back, they're fine because they are exposed, and that's the key thing. Thrusters have to be exposed to the player. These, absolutely fine, not a problem. These thrusters here, not a problem. But you've got other internal thrusters over there which goes up and down, and you've got internal thrusters here as well. These, not acceptable. Thrusters have to be exposed, so I would have to remove those and put some here and then below it. It's just the way it is. If you had, say, these encased within, say, 20 layers of combat or Xeno steel, for example, it would be unfair to the player because it would be excruciatingly boring to have to drill down to get to them. Again, some people might not like it, but if you want, it's just one of the criteria Eleon has, so it's that simple. Personally, I think it's quite reasonable. Absolutely fine for player builds for you to use, but not for an OPV, unfortunately. Now, the other thing, which I will say now rather than later about the thrusters, is if we have a look at the P menu on this Javelin and statistics, you can see the thrusters like 130, 29, 151, 37, 43, and it's got a pitch of 30, a yaw of 22, and 44 there. Those are completely irrelevant for an OPV. They literally do not matter. I've already described what a playfield is. So for the acceleration, for the speed, that is dictated by a value, I believe, in the playfield files. So the speed of the thrusters that it provides is really not important in the slightest, by any means. The agility, in terms of pitch, yaw, and roll, that is dictated by two things. And I can't give you specifics, I can only tell you my experience. Part of it is coded, so they've got code behind the scenes that deal with that, which you and I cannot see. So I can't tell you how exactly it works, but it's combined with that code with the RCS blocks. So if we have a look at this, this has two RCS blocks. So in terms of the agility, how well it turns and so forth, is dictated by a combination of that RCS and Eleon's code, and that's how it essentially turns. Now, I've got these spawned because when I built these, the Tesh Vector and the Tesh Breacher, I think this one specifically, I was asked if I could add on a few more T2 RCS, because if I have a look at this, there's 20 RCS on it. So whether there is a link between how many RCS units there are and their coding, I couldn't honestly say. But all I would say is don't go ridiculous and put in, say, 200 RCS units. You know, be reasonable. Try it out, see how well it turns as an OPV, and there we go. But that explains basically how it moves about. So in one respect, thrusters are cosmetic for an OPV. but they have to be accessible from the outside. They cannot be internal. The next thing, which is an absolute necessity, is the core. The core, which we all know and love and need, is this one, the green player core. And on the Javelin, it is located. Bear with me. There we are. I do like this shape, I have to say. Nice cool room as well. Is here, and we essentially need to get rid of it, because what we want is one of these. If you go to the capital vessel and the devices, it's called the Eleon blocks. It looks like a red core. If we select that and right click it, we've got all these other blocks to go to, from the NPC core to the dreaded NPC core admin. Never ever use an admin NPC core. This is the one you want, the red NPC core. There we go. So, okay, not in the spots I thought it is, so there we go. That's just because of my OCD. And that is good, because when these OPVs are coded in the playfield files, Eleon dictates what faction they want it to be, and that's what that core is for. So if you submit something without that core, it means someone is going to have to go in and change the core to the red core, and that's a very good point in general. If you submit something and there's all these other issues, like it's got internal thrusters, the size class, it's say size class 33, then it means changes is going to need to be done for it to be accepted, or even considered rather, and that requires either you or someone else to do it. So I wouldn't leave it for someone else to do. I would if you really want your builds to have the best chance of getting into the game by Eleon, try and do the changes yourself. Now, in terms of, let me deactivate. Yes, he's got shield on. The shield is off. Nice one. So, you can put in like crew, to make it look a bit more busy and lifelike, and you can put on you can put on spawn pads, but spawn pads essentially have, if you take a look at this one, there we go, it works in exactly the same way as a motion sensor does, exactly the same way. This red box cannot be outside the ship, it has to be fully within the ship, and the reason for that, if you just I'm just going to make it big in every sense of direction of the word, because I can't remember which direction. Right. Damn. No, I've lost which one I was. Oh yes, it's this one down here on it. Bear with me, my bad. Here we go. See, this red box is over here. Well, that means that if you as a player as soon as you go into this red area, it's going to activate and start spawning. So essentially, they only want the red boxes to be contained within the ship. They don't want to see the red boxes outside. So that's something to keep in mind as well. The alien loot containers, there is no hard rule on how many they should have, so there is a judgment call on your side that is needed. But there is one bit of guidance. If you go to the workshop after you've saved something, like the javelin has a combat attack defense value of 4800 and 3700. Use my bad, apology. Use that as an indicator in terms of how good the loot should be. For example, the one thing you should never do is this. You know, it's obviously I'm going to the absolutely extreme. You know, that would be absolutely insane to have all those ultra rare loot containers. Now, obviously, I've gone over the board just to make the point. But it has to be balanced. You may like having a build that has a lot of loot in, but if you think about it, it's just good game design, really. That if you have too much loot in something, the player is going to lose interest too quickly. So it needs to be balanced, essentially. So that's all I can say on the loot containers. They might come out with guidance later on, but at the moment, it's a bit of a judgment call. Now, the things, I think that is all the basic criteria. The rest is kind of for information and best practice, essentially. And I can describe it by, now yes, I've got generators, that's because of I'm a dunce and I've had to redo this whole video. But on the workshop version of this beautiful ship, the Ark Leviathan from Heckendiver, bit of a plug for his build, this is his original core location. And that's absolutely fine as a player, because you're the player, you know where the core is, you can decide to, okay, I'm going to make sure this is this area is pointed towards, and I don't have this kind of in firing line. Another, you can fly in a way that protects that core, and that's fine. But as an orbital patrol vessel, that is a very poor location for the core, because it's right up against the hull. Because say that's the core of that block I've just put in. If you remove that one block, which I've done, that's where the core is. So once the shield is down, if you're a clever player and you know where the core is, kablam, you've got rid of that block. Another kablam, the core's gone. You've deactivated the whole ship, and you've got so much loot for very little effort. And that's the theme with this next section, essentially. Now, when it comes to the core, the NPC faction core, that provides the Prometheum for the generators. That core provides the Pentaxid for the shield. So you don't need as many fuel tanks. In fact, you can do with just one fuel tank. You can also do with just one single small generator, because the NPC AI controlled vessel ships, they run on a different set of rules. However, if, say again you've got a ship of this size and the generator is in one place and it's not in the best of places, it's right up against the hull, again, same argument, you can target that generator, you can make a tiny little hole, and bam, the generator's gone, you'll deactivate the ship. So yes, you don't need as many generators, but you also don't want to have too few generators to make the ship vulnerable. That's why if you go to the Dirax Dreadnought, I think it's got something like 19 generators. So that's something to keep in mind. But the other thing, and I've seen this in various people's builds, because I do have, I'm subbed to an awful lot of stuff. I do look at an awful lot of builds, just looking for various builds. Okay, that might be interesting, you know, as a conversion. Same thing with bases. So I've looked at a fair few, and a lot of people clump generators together, or they'll clump fuel tanks together. And again, if you want to do that in a player ship, that's fine. That's not a problem. But if you have all the generators in one spot, even if they're well protected, if you're in a long battle, then they are going to be targeting various stuff, thrusters, turrets, yes, but also generators. If they're targeting your generators and you've got all the generators in one spot, then your ship becomes extremely vulnerable. So with an orbital patrol vessel, you don't want to have your generators in one spot. If you want to have a dedicated engine room which looks cool, fantastic, zero problem. But don't make that the only place where you have generators. Maybe have backup generator rooms, or just maybe in case some generators within blocks, like what I've done here. Same thing with the thrusters. It's also helpful for the new explosion mechanics, actually. So the fact that I encased these thrusters, for example, because it's the same thing with anything targetable, generators, thrusters, um, make them safe. Um, a good example of this um, is the Arc Esco. This is the player version. This is where the generator is. It's got a T2 generator, and there's another one on the other side. And Hecken has put the fuel tanks right here. Now, as a player, that's absolutely fine if you want to do that, because you're the player, you know how it flies, you can fly accordingly, you can put together your own strategies to keep yourself defended but achieve what you want to do. So I don't have a problem with that. But as an OPV, this is dangerous. So it has to be changed. It just makes the ship far too vulnerable having the generator right next to the fuel tank and the thruster as well. So when I did the conversion, I reduced that in size from the T2 generator to a T1 generator, which is smaller, so I could put a defensive layer of blocks in between. And then I got rid of an awful lot of these fuel tanks, because again, an OPV doesn't need a lot of fuel tanks anyway, so all of this becomes armor, which is good because it makes the ship a bit more tougher and a bit more of a challenge. So in a ship like this, where it's got a lot of fuel tanks, you can rub your hands with glee and get rid of them, put in loads of nice, lovely armor to make it a bit more interesting for players to take out. So I think, with that said, I'm just going through my mental notes. I've gone through the size class, I've explained the thrusters, I've given you additional information on how the agility works, so in terms of the RCS and their internal code. I've given you a bit of information to be wary of where you put the core and the generators and so forth. I've told you about the loot containers and the crew. In terms of the turrets, like as you can see, there's a lot of turrets on here, and this is fine. There aren't any real restrictions on the turrets. So, with that said, I hope this has been helpful. If you want to know where you can read all this information, if you come to the Builders League, questions, discussions and feedback, somebody made a post which Hummel responded to, and he's pinned it, so you can just go straight to the pin stuff, and here is some Hummel's thing. So if you don't believe anything that I've said, there you go. Proof that it's come from Eleon, Mr. Hummel himself. And he answered another question there. So if you want to refer to a written down version of what I've said, by all means, there's a link to this in the description below. This is also the place, if you've got further questions about anything, I'm happy to answer them if you put them in comments, but at the same time, if you ask them here, there'll be a lot more people who can benefit from the answers. So with that said, I'm going to sign off. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's informative. I hope I haven't confused you. Hopefully some of you who watch this might be motivated to give it a go and submit your stuff. I'm interested in the Warlord faction, I have to say at the moment, so that's what I'm building for and converting stuff to. But if you've got something for the Pirate faction or the Xerax faction, hey, by all means, submit it in this exactly the same way. So, I'm signing off. See you next time, and ta-ta!